Okay, I am going to be doing a stitch called the Triad stitch, and this is what it looks like. I think it's a nice, loose, not exactly a mesh stitch, but it could be used for so many things. This is a nice little, you could use that for a coaster. I just did that for a square, for example. Whoop, I just undid the last stitch. It's okay, I'll fix that later. And you could use it for tunics, you could use it for scarves, spring blankets, shawls, baby blankets, so many different things. It's a I think it's an easy stitch to learn. So you will chain an even number, but this works because you're going to end up with odd number of stitches. So I'm going to chain 12 and we'll end up with 11 stitches. That's how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whoop, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so now I have 12 chains. Now, from the second one, not including the one with the hook, you're going to single crochet all the way across. So you will end up with 11 stitches. I'm going to pause this till I get to that end. Now I have completed my first row, and so I have 11 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, now for row 2, you're going to chain 3 and then turn your work. 1, 2, and 3, and turn. Now, I'm going to skip this first space here, and I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go through that next chain, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to draw up a long loop. Then I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go through the next stitch, yarn over, bring it up through, draw up another loop, yarn over, go down through the next stitch, wrap around, come up through, and you should have 7 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now I'm going to go through 6 of these loops, and I'll end up with 2 loops on the hook. So kind of hold it taut so that you can get through all those loops easily. It's nice and smooth, not tight. You have 2 left, and draw through. And then you're going to add a chain, and you don't want to leave that chain very tight, because every little extra chain you do, you're going to have to go through when you do the next row. So you don't want to have it tight when you add that chain. So the next one, we're going to wrap around. We're going to go back down into that same hole from where this first triad is in. Go down into that, wrap around, bring up through a good long loop. Then you're going to wrap around and go into the next chain, or stitch, sorry. Wrap around, come up through, bring up a loop, wrap around, go into the next stitch, wrap around, come up through. You should have 7 again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to wrap around, go through 6. I'm going to redo that one because got hung up there. So wrap around, go through that same hole that the first triad was in, go through, wrap around, bring up through, a long loop, not too long, oh, about 3/4 of an inch, wrap around, go through the next stitch, wrap around, bring a loop up through, wrap around, go through the next stitch, and wrap around, come up through. Now you have 7 on your hook again, wrap around, go through the first 6. You should have 2 left on your hook, and you're going to wrap around and go through those 2 and then add a stitch, but not too tight. And you're going to repeat that all the way across. Wrap around, go into that same stitch the triad's coming from, wrap around, bring up a long loop, wrap around, go through the next stitch, wrap around, bring up a loop, wrap around, go into the next stitch, wrap around and bring up a loop. And now you have 7 on your hook again. And then you're going to go through 6 loops, leaving 2. It's doing that thing again. Wrap around, go down in the hole, the same one, bring up a loop, wrap around, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, wrap around, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, and go through 6. And then the last 2, and add a chain. And you're going to repeat that all the way to the end, wrap around, go down through the same hole that the triad cluster is from. Let's see, that same one. Wrap around, go through the next stitch, wrap around, bring up a loop, wrap around, go down the next stitch, wrap around and bring up another loop, and go through the next 6 loops, left with 2, wrap around, go through those 2, and then add a chain, and you have 1 stitch left. To end that, you're gonna go through here and do, I'm gonna pause this just a second. Okay, so now you have 1 stitch left. You're going to double crochet into that last stitch there. Go through 2 and go through 2. Okay, unravel some yarn here. Then you're going to chain 3 and turn your work. No. This is the one where you chain 1 and then single crochet across, and then you'll do a triad stitch. So this is an in-between row. So you're going to chain 1 and then turn your work, and then you're going to single crochet, and you should have 11 single crochets. Okay, I'm going to go through each one and make sure you count at the end to make sure that you have 11. And see what I mean by that? You have that tiny little extra chain to go through, so that's why you make sure you don't want that too tight. Kind of make your, when you chain at the end of a triad, make sure that you chain it kind of loosely. See, you get that tight little hold chain to go through. That's your extra chain that you did after each stitch in the row before. So you're single crocheting through each chain, and there should be 11. See that little extra stitch there? Make sure you make that loose when you do your extra chain at the end. That little loop, little bitty chain. And you make sure you get both parts of that extra chain. Don't let it get squirrely on you. And this is kind of loose worsted yarn. It's baby yarn. It's super soft, but it does separate easily. But it's a nice soft yarn. That's why I like it. This hook is probably too big to go through these little bitty extra chains here. It's a 5.5. Okay, and then you're going to go through that last chain there on your, because remember that counts as a stitch. So you want to go through that last top chain of that chain 3 and then count your stitches. You should have 11, counting this little bitty end one here. It's not really a full stitch, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Perfect. So I have 11. Now we're going to chain 3 and do our triad row again. So this just alternates between your triad row and then your single crochet row. And remember, on your triad, I call this triad row, you're going to skip that first chain. You're going to yarn over, go down through that next stitch there, draw up a long loop, yarn over and go to the next 2, draw up a loop, yarn over, go to the next one, and yarn over, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, go through 6 loops, and then you have 2 left. And remember, you want that last, when you chain 1, to be fairly loose. And you're just repeating the triad row, wrap around, go into that same hole that this little cluster is in, wrap around, drop a long loop, wrap around, go into the next 2, drop up a loop each time, go down, wrap around, drop a loop. Now you have 7 on your hook here. So you're going to wrap around and go through 6. Oh, it got away from me. Wrap around, go to that same stitch the clusters from, wrap around, drop a long loop, wrap around, go through the next one, wrap around, drop a loop, wrap around, go to the next one, wrap around. Now you have 6, and wrap around and go through 6 loops. Oh, it's trying to do that thing again. Okay, and you have 2 left, and then your chain 1. And repeat, wrap around, go through the same hole the cluster's in, wrap around, bring up a loop, wrap around, going through the next 2. Now you have 6 on your 7 on your hook again, wrap around, go through the 6 loops, leaving 2, wrap around, go through that 2, and then chain 1. Okay, and then wrap around, going into that same stitch that the cluster is in, go down in that, wrap around, bring up a loop, wrap around, go down to that next stitch, wrap around, bring up a loop, wrap around, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop. And then you have 7 on your, going to go through 6, you have 2 left, you're going to go to the that one, add a stitch, and then you have 1 left. You're going to double crochet into that last stitch. And there you have it. And then you will repeat, the next one will be your chain 1, and then single crochet across, and then you just repeat that. And that is the triad stitch. Here's a little bit bigger of a piece, so I undid that last row there. So I hope you like this stitch, and check out my playlist on my channel. Go click my username and then click about on my channel or videos, and it'll just bring you to my channel page, and you'll see all my playlists. I have all kinds of crafts that I do, all different types, little poodle that I did, different stuff. If you have a specific pattern or type of stitch that you would like to learn, please let me know. I do giveaways, I do all kinds of different types of videos. Please subscribe, like the video. It helps me to get more visibility, which encourages me and motivates me to do more of these. And please comment and give me some feedback, because that also helps. The more comments and interactions you get, the more visibility you get, therefore it helps me to grow my channel, encourages me, and motivates me to do more of these type of videos. I hope you have a blessed day.